It's a
guitar.
small room, you don't really need to make it as loud as the stadium.
So guys, welcome this amazing group. They're from Chicago. I think the two gentlemen in the front from Israel, the two gentlemen in the back are from Chicago. So it's a very long connection there.
Yeah.
So great to have you here.
Thank you.
Danny is the leader, I take it. You are sort of.
And, well, we'll write all the music together and do everything together.
So how did you come up with the name Marbin?
Markovich Rabin.
Nice.
That was easy. Okay, so what are the winning about? So, do you think?
Usually we play some gypsy jazz, but since
Yeah.
it's already kind of late.
Yeah. Alright, let's do it. Let's play it out.
Yeah, right on it.
Oh, it is.
One, two. we're gonna play you guys another song. This one's called Juke Joint. The one you just heard was African Chocolate. Then we're gonna start talk a little bit about music. Ready? start with technique. You know, well, Danny's...
First of all, if you have any questions...
Yeah, it's a
right
free form
now-
kind of thing. Just raise your hand as they occur.
Yeah, all right,
Yeah.
go ahead.
First off, what are you guys' influences?
Influences?
Personally or as a group?
Personally, group-wise,
I would say we like very old jazz, like Sidney Bechet, Louis Armstrong, Django Reinhardt, and bebop, like Charlie Parker. We kind of skipped most of the things aesthetically that happened, I would say, from like the late 50s on till the 70s. That's kind of, and in academia, that's kind of like the style you're taught. So we tend, we tend to kind of really subscribe to what happened before and after, you know, post bop and hard bop and culture and that kind of stuff. So, and our music really comes from those places. So for me, it's a lot of gypsy jazz, obviously some rock stuff. And Danny grew up on Charlie Parker.
Oh yeah, all the old jazz guys, obviously Coltrane like everybody, but mostly old jazz stuff.
So no wonder what we do is strange.
Nothing after the 80s, I would say, but
Yeah.
But again, it's like it's fine.
Nothing after the 80s. Like, yeah, there's like
Jazz-wise, nothing after the 80s. But if you look at
yeah,
but we did also go up listen to Rage Against the Machine, right, and stuff like that. So that also comes in.
yeah, yeah. So it's a funny thing, but yeah, I think in school you're taught this like ultra acceptance, that, like you need to love and respect everything. But we didn't grow up that way. We hated a lot of music. Like we hated a lot, and it's like, you know, I think a big part of becoming an individual is developing a strong taste, right? So you got to have a distaste too. So for me, if something is not moving for me, you know, as an individual, subjectively, then I let it go. You know, so and that's how you develop a taste. Yeah, I guess that answers that.
So any other questions before we begin?
the two tunes that you just played, is it in the form of a jazz standard where it's like A, B, A, C, or is it just...
So what happened for us, we came from jazz in a very hardcore kind of way, and our forms were always jazz driven, meaning that you take loops around the
Until
block.
our fifth album, basically.
Yeah, until our fifth album. So, and the idea that the harmonic structure defines the form of the music.
Exactly.
And then after a while, what we noticed is to make the songs, like first of all, for me, listening to Charlie Parker records, I love Charlie Parker. I think he's the best, right?
Yeah.
But every time he's done soloing, I'm always like, but I just don't want to hear anybody. I don't want to hear like anybody else solo after. I just don't like it. It's weird. And I think he really, and a lot of people, really love the other soloists on those records, but it's like, I don't know, for me it just doesn't do it. I find myself like fast forwarding. So in our third album, what we would do is, we had a few songs we were playing on over the same harmony, but we didn't like, it made the songs a little too long, so what our solution was to make short songs where one of us would solo. Right? And then we would play shows, but you can't build momentum on 3-minute songs.
It's also something about it feels like not substantial enough.
Yeah.
It feels like a little bit too...
Yeah, it's like, like you don't want to have like a huge meal and like be passed out on the floor like a 20-minute jazz odyssey, and you also don't want to have like a little snack, like a 1-minute song, So the sweet spot is somewhere in the middle. So what we found is that we liked to solo on different harmonic things, right, in the same song. So what we would do is we would generally, a lot of our forms, like the form for the first song is weird. That's like straight up kind of a prog kind of idea, like what you would call a through composed thing. But this thing we just played was, the form was that we would play, we had a melody, and then he soloed on the entire harmonic form, and then we went to like this vamp, to it's just kind of like a modal thing in F, and I soloed on that, and then I cue it out. So it's an open solo, and then we go back into that interlude melody and then play the B of that melody out. So, but we feel very free about, our structures, right? Because we get to decide, you get to decide what you want to, it's a conversation between people, right? What do you want to play on?
Yeah, it took us forever. Like, we wouldn't even consider it in the beginning.
Yeah, we were really committed to like jazz pure.
Because we were like, we don't know any music that we like that doesn't have the structure, basically.
Pat Metheny is the exception.
Yeah,
we listened to a lot of Pat Metheny from the 90s. It was kind of proggy in that way, and some Brecker Brothers stuff was. a little bit,
yeah.
but and some Vishnu stuff. But I don't know. But it's but yeah, definitely we had to let go of that.
Yeah.
You know.
So how much are your arrangements defined every night? I mean, you guys are down the road for quite a bit, 52.
52 nights, yeah.
54 shows.
54 shows and 52 nights.
The way
Which is quite amazing. So how much variation do you have in the same song?
I can answer that really well because it has to do with your approach to writing and putting out records. And what we found, our first 3 records were dream projects, meaning we'd go into a studio, we'd use our imagination, we'd take forever, and we just put it together, right? Like
and tons of guitar
write the
parts,
music,
sax,
tons of
parts.
parts, all this. And then at our 4th album, we started touring extensively. And we've been touring, I don't know how much you guys know about our band, but we've been at it about 300 days a year since 2011. So we've played a lot. And we noticed something, first of all, that like we had these huge arrangements on the albums, and we would sell them to the people that come to the shows. And the people were like, what the fuck is this music? Like, that's not what they wanted. We were selling like Sprite and Coca-Cola cans. And it's like, even if you love Sprite, you don't want to buy it in a Coca-Cola can, right? So we started shifting our aesthetic for recording from engineering music and producing music to capturing music. And then we had a band, and the band was the sound. And what we would do at that point was write music for the band and try to capture the way we actually sound. Now, then what happened was we would start to write music because we noticed that we're, constrained by the 90 minutes a night we have to play. So we have to have a set that's stimulating for us to play. And then we would write that hour and a half of music, but the process of editing wouldn't be, it's not like we wrote it, made a record, and then went on the road. We wrote it, went on the road for a year, and then made a record. So every night, you get to see what works and what doesn't work. And we got to talk about it in the van. So it's like, we'd write a part, and you can be very excited about the part, but then in front of people, you get this awareness, and that's something I want to stress. It's not about how people like what you play, it's about how you listen to yourself when other people listen to you too. That's a big difference.
It's in the same fashion that when you talk, it's different when you just think. When you say your ideas out loud,
yeah, you're like, oh my God, I'm a maniac. But sometimes you need other people's attention to pay attention to yourself in a more objective way. It makes sense. It's like I like the idea that when you have like a child, the parent gives them some sort of protective dome, that's just kind of to shield him from reality, just so he can, check out what's around and be safe in it. And then when you're an adult, it's removed. So your ideas, your musical ideas, you have to do that to yourself when they're coming out.
I think your mind is playing tricks on you when you're in the practice room, and you can really tell the practice room musicians because they would learn, they would go with their logic all the way, which means like they're playing 2/5 and they want to do the hippest shit of the 2/5. And we're just trying to make it more hip and more hip and more hip and more hip and more hip, and then until it sounds like literally like nothing to anybody else. But they come and they feel like they accomplished something, and then they play it, but it doesn't work. But they get kind of a feeling that it works. So it's really
the point is that putting whatever you work on in the real world is an opportunity to see how it is in the real world, right? So, and reality just has a way of correcting you if you let it, right? So,
especially if you do something every night.
And you definitely
can do something
see
one night and be like, oh, that works, and then you do it 10 times and you're like, oh, it doesn't work.
Well, when me and Danny decided that we want to, tour full time, it came, also, we're from Israel, and that place has actual borders, and moving to the States where you can just get in the car and drive from gig to gig, like 40 hours there, it's like, that's amazing to us, right? So that was a part of the thrill, but another part of the touring thing is that we noticed that all the musicians that we loved played every night, right? There's something that happens, like a lot of people have practiced longer than Charlie Parker was alive, right? So it's like a lot of people out-practice these people, but nobody seemed to sound better. So sounding great has to do with something you get from actually doing what you do in the real setting repeatedly. And you enter a different process. I have a theory that it has to do with, with the flow of time. That like when you're practicing, you're in a start-stop kind of meditation. And you can rewind, go back. You can work on very small pieces of music. When you're playing live, if you mess up, point X in the song, the process looks like this, like shit. And then the night after, it's like, oh, shit again. Shit, and then you catch it, but it takes 30 days, for you to like actually be mindful enough to catch, but you do. And it's just about like the pieces that you work on, and then how you actually work on them, like, spread out in time. And nobody's gonna, people are listening, people paid to see it, right? It's like the stakes are high, and I think most people thrive when the stakes are high.
You asked about the variations every night, so yeah, if you come on the road with us and hear every night, obviously the solos are different, the ideas are different because we're improvising, but there is something that's a little bit similar about it. But if you come and listen to us today and then in a year from now, it's going to be completely different, because the way I say it when you play shows, every day you explore the songs and you take a small step into some sort of direction. So, the small steps just add up to a lot of stuff. And if you listen to our albums, the difference between every album is huge, playing. Yeah. And I'm not just talking about new stuff that we put in and we found out. I'm talking like general, level of playing and general level of ideas. Also, and it's because we just change a little bit every night.
And I think also there's a toxic mentality that's coming from the pop world that's infiltrated jazz, which is that making the records is the essential thing. But, jazz only lives for the extent of time that it is played. It's like drawing in sand every night. Like the moment you're done, it's gone. It's never happening again, right? Not in the same way. And it's exactly about what happened that makes it valid, right? But it's like recordings, they don't, it's like listening to like live jazz recordings could be fun, but it's like, it's a hologram of an experience, and it captures very, very little of it. And for us, a lot of the motivation to be out on the road so much, which is a huge sacrifice, of other areas in life, is that we understand that in order for our music to live, it needs to be played all the time. And all a record is basically a scrapbook of a year, right? This is what we sounded from 2015 to 2016. Nice, memorabilia. But we don't sit there and listen to it, and the people that were there to get it. And it's a very nice thing, it's a very great art form to participate in, but you have to understand what you're participating in, right? You're giving an experience that's meaningful to people.
It's very strange because when you go up, you listen to albums.
Right.
So that's your entire world of music. Like, growing up in Israel, we didn't have great jazz musicians to listen to live. So, you just have the albums as your reference to music. But yeah, once you start playing it, you'll see that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we start?
Yeah.
How did your group meet? How did you guys all meet, and how did your group form?
Me and Danny met in Israel about 11 years ago, and we moved to Chicago together. And these two guys have been with us 2.5 years. And we just had an ability to write music together, which we never had before or after with anybody else. So we could sit there, and we had an aesthetic feel that was that was frighteningly similar. Like we really liked and disliked the same things. And Danny always has a great saying that most collaborations are one person that wants to build a bridge and one person that doesn't want to build a bridge, and what they do is build half a bridge. So that's not healthy. You gotta both want to build a bridge. So and with music, I think you guys, like you guys that are young now, are in hell. Like this generation is amazingly difficult to maneuver through mentally, because it's not cool to say that anything is bad, and almost everything is bad. But you gotta like everything, So it's like I would be, if I were you, I would really start to connect with not so much trying to understand what you don't understand about things, which is also a big part. If you're ignorant, you're not going to get the good things, so it's tricky. But you got to understand what's not moving to you and never will be, right? Just to zone in on what's good, because when you go to write music or play, all you're dealing with is one question: what's beautiful? right? That's the only thing that can be a compass to a person trying to improvise. If not that, then what, right? You have an internal, sense of what good music is.
Well, in a lot of clinics, they ask us how to get a unique sound, and how we developed our own unique sound as far as playing goes. But in my experience, that's the wrong question. The question is what you think is good, and everybody is different, and if you zone in on what you think is good, and you keep zoning in on it, you're going to get to a unique sound at the end. But a lot of people try to skip that question and go to what's unique and just do nonsense that nobody did before, but maybe there was a reason why nobody did it. And then it sounds like a joke. So it's like a lot of people do that, or like to try to look for something technical to do in their music. It's like nobody did our album of standards all in 11/8. So that's unique, right? But it's also not nonsensical, because it's like there is no musical sense to it, right? You want to do something that has musical sense. I'm not saying playing 11 is not nonsensical. I'm just saying if it comes from the technical side, in order to be unique, it's not going to make any sense musically.
Yeah, and also, the world will let you know very quickly what works and what doesn't work, right? Because it's like, you're just going to go out, try to play, and see if people are willing to pay for it or not, right? You gotta be connected to something, right? It's like, even if you're doing something very unique, a lot of people are very avant-garde, but there is a level of avant-gardeness that the only way you can get paid for is with government money or NGOs.
No, sometimes it won't work. If you will come and I'll play guitar and you play saxophone, that's pretty avant-garde.
Yeah, but it's like, if you can get people, it's a very good test for how, because I'm not saying you should be commercial or you should ask yourself those kind of questions, but the world will let you know what works and what doesn't work if you put yourself out there, right? It's like, sometimes, let's say, if Bach came back, right? And Bach is a bad motherfucker, and let's say he was playing piano in bars, right? It's gonna be really hard for Bach to climb to the top of the hierarchy playing piano in bars now, right? So it's like sometimes you can do something great in the wrong time too. So you have to be somewhat connected to something, and there has to be an element of reality. And I'm not talking about maybe this. You can still do something that's objectively great, and nobody cares. What I suggest is that, I feel, and this is a theory, if you dig down deep enough inside of you to ask yourself actually what's good, enough of what's good in the state of current art and modernism will emerge to where other people that are like you will like what you do.
But also, I feel like if you do, so that's something that's very important, that we did very differently than other bands. So a lot of bands are trying to get notoriety now, and the way they do it, for example, is they will do a pop cover, like a Justin Bieber cover or Rihanna cover, and do it in a jazz style. Or they do it they will dance, or they dress up, or they do all this show stuff. So we, luckily enough, never did those things. We only played original music, only played what we wanted to play, the way we wanted to play it. When we came and started touring, everybody told us that there is no way nobody's going to listen to it in the States. Everybody that had anything to do with jazz institutions told us that fusion is not jazz, and nobody likes fusion in the States. And it's like, we proved them wrong, but we did it we never changed our music. We were never tempted to do anything with our music or to put anything in our music that we don't like musically, right, just to appeal to people. So, I feel like if you do something that you believe in, you will find a way to show it to the people that, that interfere it.
Okay, so we should dive. Question? Something? No? All right, I just saw a hand. Yeah.
Because you just said to the test of reality, going on the road. Now, you guys spent 300 days on the road for the last 2 years. That's an amazing accomplishment.
No,
since 2011.
Huh?
7 years.
Yeah, for the last 2 years, that's what I mean. So that's an amazing accomplishment. How do you go about that? Because we're all sitting here in the room and you're everybody's eventually done with school, so and then it comes the test of time. So what do you do then?
Well, the secret is to understand.
To build up this.
All right, so the secret is to understand.
Before he says that, prepare for a rough decade. It's gonna be 10 long years.
All right, so the secret is to understand that you need to put yourself in a win-win situation, okay? And that you're working with the venues. Now, let's say when we started, we came from Israel, we don't have family here, we don't have friends here, so nobody knew us. And if we go to a place, we go to play in Omaha,
Zero people.
Zero people show up,
Consistency.
right?
For years.
Yeah, because why would they? They don't know us, they never heard about us, right? We weren't even, I don't know if to say good enough, but it's like we didn't do a lot, so why would anybody show up? So we look for something, so to a place that would make sense to hire us. But let's say, makes sense is a funny word for example, but we used to play in the first 5 years only in dive bars, mostly in really small towns. And so a dive bar that have music on Friday, Saturday, like we would have a top 40 band, one night a year or 2 nights a year we would have Marbin playing fusion, original like fusion for 3-4 hours to the people that just coming to hang out, right? But the people liked it enough, and the people, it's funny, nobody that has anything to do with jazz or any institution give us any slack, but the people that really help us get it going is like in the middle of Iowa, some like 60, 70-year-old bar owner.
Right.
But like, oh, that sounds,
guy in Texas.
yeah, that sounds kind of awesome. I'll bring them in for
Yeah.
a week, and why not? And pay them like $400.
It's
Why not?
like those scenes out of Blues Brothers for years, right? We would just play like behind the chicken wire.
And when we made sure we play every day, so it's like if it would be like a Tuesday and we can't find a bar to pay us, we'll play in a coffee shop. And we'll be like, okay, we play in a coffee shop, at least some people may be there. And
We
it's like,
played gypsy jazz on the street we would have these gigs, and the gigs would be 3 to 4 hours every night, and then we would play 5-6 hours on the street for money. You would play saxophone.
and we would make
play
so much
Django
more money on
tunes.
the street.
Yeah, and we'd
Wasn't
make
it?
like $300 on the street,
We would
$50
get it
at
on
the
the street,
gig.
yeah.
But then playing on the street gets you tough.
And it teaches you a lot, yeah.
Because you know what you're going to have to face? You're going to, because right now you're sitting in very good conditions in an air-conditioned room in your house, maybe with your instruments and maybe a computer set up, and you have all the time in the world to write this beautiful thing that represents your soul. And then when you get out of here, you don't handle the indifference of one person. You handle the indifference of the cosmos.
Yeah, you go to a city, you go to a city with like 10 million people and nobody shows up.
And make no mistake, it's the indifference that crushes people. It's not that somebody hates your music, it's that nobody would even listen to it. And you have to literally chase, we were just, and playing on the street, I think that was the thing that made us the toughest, because, we got to understand, it's like, man, we're, like, our life is just this constant state of audition till we have fans. And now we're in a totally different, everybody that comes to see us now knows the music. For the first 6 years, we just like, we'd start playing fusion and like, we just have like a bunch of rednecks drinking beer going like,
I love fusion.
Hopefully like the head starts bobbing and the foot starts tapping. And they would be like, oh, that's kind of, it's like, they called us just music. They didn't have a word for instrumental music. It's like, you guys play just music. Play just music. Yeah. And then go and buy CDs and join the Facebook and be like, and like discover fusion through us too, which is kind of cool. So, but I'm saying, if you have the guts to go out to the world and believe in what you do enough, if you make music that you feel is beautiful, all that's missing is the belief that that you're not that much better than everybody else, and the music
not that much different.
Yeah, the music that you think is actually beautiful, other people that are like you are going to think is beautiful too, right? Or are going to get the thing you get.
I feel like everybody that gets out of music school, and we're not, I didn't go to music school, but we're not different in that sense. You go and you play in your town, and you're like, nobody shows up, and you're like, shit, what can I do? And like, oh, festivals has people. And then you live in this imagination, like you're going to send in a CD, and we're going to listen to my solo and Main Shoulder, and we're like, dude, this guy's fucking crushing it. It's like, when it's kind of old. But that's not how it works. Like, now we get all these festivals offered to us, because people know us, and people are going to come. They need to sell, like, you need to sell tickets for a venue, but if you're a festival, you really need to sell tickets.
The joke about festivals is you start getting all the offers for festivals when you make more playing clubs to taking the door, than playing the festival. It's like it has to make more sense for them than it does for you, right? They're selling tickets too. So if your
expensive tickets.
Yeah, expensive tickets. So if like they put our name on a poster and it sells 100 tickets for $100, that's much more than they were, they're going to pay us back, So again, the good business decisions are not like that. They are based on win-win. You gotta, and this is the thing that's amazing about the U.S. Unlike the country we're from, where there's not a very good radius of trust.
So it's a zero-sum game mentality.
Yeah. So in Israel, everybody's out to get each other. So the club owners are trying to screw the musicians try to screw the club owners. And it's like for us, we played clubs where there would be like a thing where the guy at the door gives the money to the owner and the owner runs away from the back door. And then we're like, where's the money? He's like, oh, like we have a system here. We send you a part of it later. It's like, and then like he called us on the phone. He's like, what, in the U.S. they pay you the same day you play? We're like,
what they owe you? He said what they owe you.
They pay you what they owe you. We're like, yeah, yeah, they do. It's amazing. It's like I always thought that was the natural state of things because we started our career here, but it's not. It's amazing here. Like you make a deal with somebody and you show up and do your job and they'll pay you. That's crazy.
By the way, how about tonight?
So, do you guys want to dive deeper into the business side of the thing or the music side of the thing?
Oh, I'm answering your question, but like, as far as like kind of an extension of what he said, maybe in more detail, when you said like you would play this dive bar, like chicken wire, whatever, what was the actual process of like you would find it?
All right, so I'll tell you what I
Call
did.
them up and be like, we're this band.
I'll tell you what I did. Okay, so the first year we only did weekends around Chicago, so 5-6 hours away from Chicago, mostly in southern Illinois, but then in Iowa and stuff like that. Now, once we got the weekends down, you find like, you find a winery that have you on a Sunday brunch. Like, again, we would play this music on Sunday brunch. And then you find another place that have you, like another bar that have you on a Thursday. And I'm like, I booked those 4 days and I just need 3 more days to connect the week. And then the first year, actually, we only did weekends. And then by the second year, 2012, first tour was already over a month. Because we started connecting the weeks. And in the beginning, you have to drive like crazy. Like sometimes you have like 8-hour drives after 8-hour drive after 8-hour drive.
Yesterday I drove 11 hours.
Yeah.
Did you guys today?
Oh, yeah.
We played in San Francisco, then we drove to LA, played the gig, drove straight here.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, but it's like, so I'm trying to think. So the best way to do it is to find people on your level. So let's say you find a bar that pays $400, right? When you know that the people that play in that bar, they usually would play other bars that pay and other gigs that pay. So you just look where they play and you make a list. I have a huge Excel list that's like, I don't use it anymore because I would just play clubs. But it's, you make a list of where all those people play by state and city.
Yeah,
and then you look where people who play those clubs play, and then you make your own list. Because you can't find those places online. It's fine to save that.
Also, I gotta explain something about the difference between clubs and bars. Because there are 2 types of gigs, and don't get those confused. There's entertainment, right? Which are any place that plays a guarantee. You're entertaining, and there are door deals, right? Where your job in a door deal is not to pray that people walk in, it's to fill up the room. That's the deal, right? That's not, and if it's empty, it's only your fault. The guy that owns the empty room just sells booze and has bands come by.
And
the bar guy is at the bar gig. The guy's job is to make a fun hangout for his locals, right? And be like maybe a small beacon of light in middle America where culture comes in occasionally and people are happy to come and drink a lot and hang out and have a good time while watching a band that they don't necessarily know because they trust the guy to bring in talent. Those are the gigs you need to pursue for the first couple of years because nobody knows you. So and it's a lose-lose the other way.
And that's the only way we're going to make money. We're not going to make money going to a club and bring nobody.
How did you guys market yourself at first? Like, how did you guys market yourself as a project, as Marbin, and then create your guys' image?
Marketing comes after you enter the market, right? So it's like, but it's true. You gotta first of all be out there for a while. I think the first couple of years, it's just laying the blueprint, like finding, like really solidifying your routing and your sound. Yeah, you also develop in a way. Like if you just, I would bet a very large sum of money that if any of you just write tunes, get a trio or a quartet together, and go on the road your first time, people are not going to like what you do very much because it won't be that good. And I think for us, people liked us, but they like us much better now. And we've been on the road for 10 years. And it's like, it's just the practice make perfect kind of thing. It's like there's a lot of shit to get together.
People, with the internet, people think that all they need is to do a video that's gonna succeed. But that's what I was saying. It's like we never try to go this route. Like when it happened. But it's like you really need to make something first before you think about how to sell it. It's like first of all, make something.
Yeah. So that's again because there's. The success story, we were touring with Alan Holdsworth's trio, and the guy plays with Yellow Jackets, plays bass, Jim Haslett. And we were like super curious. We were hanging out with him in a band all day. They were like, Jimmy, how'd you guys do it in the 70s? How'd the Yellow Jackets make it big? He's like, oh, well, we like got together and played once.
A few shows in LA.
Yeah, we've had a few shows in LA then, like after our third gig, like an A&R guy for Capitol was there, and then he pressed us a vinyl, and they put it in stores, and it sold 90,000 copies, and everybody knew us. That's super helpful. So what I'm saying is that by the time that you get your stuff together, that marketing thing, maybe that Facebook ads thing, or the YouTube thing will not be relevant, but there will be a new thing. People, good music has a way of reaching the people that think it's good music. The people are out there looking for it too, but it's, but first of all, get it. Then that's kind of like, it's about like kind of seeing the step that's ahead of you, I think. Yeah.
Are you guys transcribing the music you play? Or are you just playing it like together and like memorizing?
Me and Danny always write.
Oh, okay.
Gerald gave good advice. That's what we put pen to paper.
Pen to paper is very powerful.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the thing of like the difference between talking and thinking, because ideas exist in a very liquid state until you either write them, record them, do something with them to solidify them. And writing actually has a very,
it's a final
it
state.
feels final, and also it's like, I don't know if you guys are lazy like me, but like erasing is like, it's really hard. You gotta like flip the thing, so it's like, like you're really trying not to change something once it's down. And it like looks bad.
But I would say, on the other hand, we do change everything on the road. So every time people ask us for charts, we look for it. The chart is like, oh my god, it sounds nothing like the song. And that's why we don't have charts online, and some of what we do is not very accurate.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going back and changing it.
Any more questions?
It's great. Play more music?
More music?
Yeah.
Sure. All right.
Then we talk a little bit more.
Yeah. What is that? You want to do Ichiban? Yeah, let's do it. This is a brand new song. We like this one.
Alright, let's see.
I just hope they'll hear me in the back. Alright. Ready?
Go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. How much time do we have? Can we talk about music, or do you guys want to talk about business?
You can go for another 15-20 minutes. I have to go. Unfortunately, I have a dog because they switched around the session, so I couldn't do too much. I will see you guys tonight. Everybody knows Marbin tonight at the dispensary from 9 to 12.
Yeah.
And
Latin.
What time you can load in, you know?
the club is open 24/7. You can
Cool.
come in anytime.
Okay.
You probably don't need the piano.
No.
There's a PA, and I'll be there probably at 8:15, and I'll be set up.
Okay. We'll just load in.
In the meantime, maybe play another tune, answer a couple of questions. You guys
Sure.
are great. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
What are your guys' non-jazz influences? Because they use almost like everything. that you
Yeah.
guys are playing. So what do you guys listen to now, or what is it that you guys listened to before that wasn't like inspired by jazz?
Me and Danny really liked. If I were to list the dudes, it would be like Leonard Cohen, Paul Simon.
Another thing, most of the guys are actually playing at 7 o'clock
Oh,
at the library because it's a Latin jazz ensemble. They're all great cats. If you feel like it, stop by the library
Yeah,
for maybe an hour.
You should go.
Or half an hour. They will tell you more what it is.
that's not.
Then they're probably will see.
You should go.
So Leonard Cohen, Paul Simon, Sting, the later stuff, or like after the police.
No, the later
not
stuff.
later.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of people.
Astor
Jim
Piazzolla.
Croce, Astor Piazzolla, huge
Oh.
for us. Metheny, I guess that's jazz. Yeah, I don't know. Those kind of people. Folk.
Chris Christopherson.
Chris Christopherson. I love Hank Williams Sr. You know, yeah, people like that on the non-jazz thing. Yeah, and I think also that is an influence because you know those people like know something about melodies that are just simple and good. You know. Any other questions? Yeah.
Who is your audience generally now that you established
We have.
because you don't sound anything like folk. I'm hearing the Chad Mitchell trio.
Yeah, no.
And the electric guitar. I mean, it sounds like you guys should be on tour with Steve Vai.
Yeah, that's like my earliest kind of love.
I mean,
those
you know,
travel
somebody
guys.
buying a Dream Theater record would get into this stuff.
Yeah, so we have a lot of people like that, but our audience is like very strange.
Well,
It's
some
like
hippies,
jazz people, hippies, bikers.
But
like,
the
we got-
jazz purists, some of them might run out the door screaming.
Yeah, again,
Screaming to death.
somebody in the Chicago Institute was a favorite thing where he said, "Oh, fusion, like said, good, but fusion been done in the 70s." And I was like, but everything else you got going on was been done in the 30s.
Fusion
So it's like I don't understand why that's better. No, there's some like still some people, you know, once they see electric guitar, they freak out.
I think it's a question of timbre, you know, and it's sound color,
Yeah.
and people really. And again, I get it. It really changes the atmosphere of the music, right? That like more than anything, because it's like, in terms of my playing, I would argue that harmonically and rhythmically, it's not all that different from some jazz players, but in terms of sound color,
Right.
it's completely different.
You've heard the Aristocrats, obviously.
Yeah. So yeah, they're doing, and I think a band like that doesn't come from jazz. You know, they come from the prog world.
Right.
You know, so that would be the difference. You know, they don't speak the same kind of harmonic language.
Right.
I mean, they do, but they're not as hyper conscious of it, and the music tends to be focused more around, you know, parts that are
The things they can do on guitar.
like a tapping part, a sweeping part, right? It's like these that's how they structure their melodies.
Right.
For us, we just write melodies and then play over
And
them.
then you play
But
the
yeah.
solo rhythm of the song.
But my entire life, I've been not battling because I never cared too much. But it's like, you know, people that really believe that jazz should always be acoustic music, and if you have guitar, it needs to be like kind of an imitation of an acoustic guitar.
Right.
Also, the type of playing with both of us, like the type of how we play is very not hip right now in jazz. So all the albums, you can hear it even in the mixing, like the drums are super loud, the rhythm section always does a lot, and then the soloists barely do anything.
Yeah.
And really, the people that we listen to, it's like the soloist is the main attraction basically,
Yeah.
and other people support him. and this is very not hip right now.
Yeah.
Anybody that
Our
does-
goal in our career is to put drums and bass back in the right
Back where it
place.
belongs, yeah. No, but it's very strange. To me, it's very strange right now, like the way that people play. It's like, if you do anything with tone that's different, if articulation is different, if you play lines that are different, people really, like the pure jazz people right now, we really think it's not hip.
Yeah.
It's like they want you to sound basically like everybody else.
Well, no, if you're playing jazz, you need to play avant-garde, and if you're playing any sort of fusion, you basically need to play like hip-hop or gospel.
Yeah,
That's the only
and the style that's most prevalent now, especially in saxophone, but I feel like in other instruments too, maybe I just don't listen to it as much, is a combination between avant-garde and smooth jazz, which is, again, I could never see coming. Like even when I came to the States 10 years ago, it wasn't like that. But like a lot of people are playing like hip-hop beats right now, and playing kind of avant-garde saxophone. Like really messy, really
like they go from playing like real smooth pentatonic lines to and like pick up the solo.
like late Coltrane stuff, and it's like between late Coltrane and R&B, and it's very strange. I don't know, I'm not into it, and it's amazing that it became to me the main thing in jazz, and that's how saxophone is played right now.
You guys use the word fusion so loosely. I mean, in America, fusion's been like, you hear that and oh my God, it got such a bad rap.
Yeah, a lot of people in Hawaii t-shirts and calculator watches fucked it up for everybody. A lot of people in Hawaiian t-shirts and calculator watches. When the image of like a jazz musician became a dentist.
Also, you have to remember, it came out and everybody loved it so much. Every computer game, it came out with Nintendo, and every Nintendo game had fusion in it, basically, right?
It was abused after a while. It got ridiculous. So
Well, I mean, it suffered from a case of bad timing because fusion started in the 70s, and I think it was pretty great. And then synthesizers hit and ruined everything. You know, they were helpless against the synth. It was just like a tidal wave. It was like the flood. It came and ruined the whole decade of music. You know. Any other questions? Yeah.
Do you guys play strictly originals, or do you ever like
Strictly
No,
originals.
I'm never original music.
Always.
Well, we write so much and we don't get, like we already have 6 albums out, all different songs, and then we have another one coming, different songs. So we never can play all of it, right? And we have so many songs that we don't play yet, so it just makes no sense for us to do a cover.
Yeah.
Was it always that way, or did you play like
We never
other
played
tunes?
covers.
Well, we actually played we met, and then the day after we already played a show, and then we played covers, and then it took us about half a year to replace it.
Okay, so I will, at the same token, we play gypsy jazz and standards for fun, right? Like, we know a lot of jazz.
Yeah, more than most people that
Yeah,
know the jazz
so-
musicians, which is really funny.
Yeah,
when I go
and I would never go out, you know, and call myself like, you know, a gypsy jazz guitar player, you know. But I mean, we play that stuff for fun all the time, as a hobby. You know, it's like something, it's a social activity for us to play the old music, like, you know, to sit down and play Hoagie Carmichael tunes. I love them, you know, I know all of them, but it's
Okay,
like,
do you want the song after?
we could, but for us, when people buy tickets and pay to see us, you know, they don't come to see like you and like, you know, your many hobbies.
Right.
They come to see something constructed that's like the best you can do. And you got to think about it like that. You know, it's like if you got to do the one thing you do for real and do it all the way. You know what I mean? It's like Coltrane didn't have like, you know, 2 nights a week where he went out to play like Lester Young, right? He always played Coltrane. So it's like if you go out and gig, you know, you just got to do your best and just be like you 100% every night. You know? More questions? More music? Okay. That's the rhythm. Ready?
I'm sorry. I just came down with tinnitus, so I'm trying to. I apologize so very much. I didn't have my earplugs in.
Oh,
You guys are great. You're
Thank you so
phenomenal.
much. I live with tinnitus. By definition. Oh yeah, I stand around this thing every night.
Lights and lessons.
from us. We do take cards. Talk to us, and we're gonna see you tonight at the dispensary. And we're gonna try to make it to your gig too.
Sweet.